Well, our time has come.
Here we go. Krishna, Krishna. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Puri Brajakacharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sekaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mayi Ki Jai Yamuna Mayi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande, Hari, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, and welcome everyone for Srimad Bhagavatam with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Monday, December 16th, 2024 in New York, and today we're starting with Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 8, and beginning with text number 42. And before we started with 42, as we were reading 41 on Friday, Maharaj, you mentioned that it was a sizable purport, and we basically ran out of time. You were saying that there's much more that could have been said and that wasn't due to time constraints. So I was wondering if before we moved forward, you would like to say anything more about the verse or purport to text number 41.
Hmm. Let's see. My mind was absorbed in it when we were talking about it. Now it's sort of gone by. So let me. I think probably rather than my sitting here trying to think of it fresh, we should just move on.
All right. Hare Krishna. Or we have a suggestion here from Tulsi Priya to rewind a little bit and read part of the purport again. It's just covers a lot of ground in the purport. I'll read the verse, and then Maharaj, if you'd like to comment, you certainly would be ecstatic to hear from you. And then if not, then we'll move on. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dharmartha Kama Mokshakyam Ya Ichtreya Atmanaha Ekang Hyeva Haris Tatra Karanang Pada Sevanam. This is Narad Muni advising Dhruva Maharaj. Any person who desires the fruits of the four principles, religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and, at the end, liberation, should engage himself in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For worship of his lotus feet yields the fulfillment of all of these. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that only with the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can the demigods offer benedictions. Therefore, whenever any sacrifice is offered to a demigod, the Supreme Lord in the form of Narayan Shila or Shalagrama Shila is put forward to observe the sacrifice. Actually, the demigods cannot give any benediction without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. Narada Muni therefore advised that even for religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation, one should approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, offer prayers, and ask for the fulfillment of one's desire at the lotus feet of the Lord. That is real intelligence. An intelligent person never goes to demigods to pray for anything. He goes directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the cause of all benediction. As Lord Sri Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita, performance of ritualistic ceremonies is not actually religion. The real path of religion is to surrender at the lotus feet of the Lord. For one who is actually surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord, there is no question of any separate endeavor for economic development. A devotee engaged in service to the Lord is not disappointed in the satisfaction of his senses. If he wants to satisfy his senses, Krishna fulfills that desire. As far as liberation is concerned, any devotee fully engaged in the service of the Lord is already liberated. Therefore, there is no separate necessity for his liberation. Narad Muni therefore advised Dhruva Maharaj to take shelter of Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, and engage himself in the way that his mother had advised, for that would help him fulfill his desire. In this verse, Narada Muni has especially stressed the devotional service of the Lord as the only way. In other words, even if one is full of material desires, he can continue his devotional service to the Lord and all his desires will be fulfilled.
These are wonderful topics. I don't think I have more to add at this point. Let us move forward.
All right. Thank you, Maharaj. Text 42. Tatata gaccha bhadrang te yamunayas tatang shuchi punyang madhuvanang yatra sannidhyang nityadaharehe. My dear boy, I therefore wish all good fortune for you. You should go to the bank of the Yamuna, where there is a virtuous forest named Madhuvan, and there be purified. Just by going there, one draws nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always lives there. Both Narada Muni and Suniti, the mother of Dhruva Maharaj, advised Dhruva Maharaj to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Narada Muni is especially giving him directions how this worship of the Supreme Person can very quickly fructify. He recommends that Dhruva Maharaj go to the bank of the Yamuna, where there is a forest of the name Madhuvan, and begin his meditation and worship there. Places of pilgrimage yield a special advantage for a devotee in quickly advancing his spiritual life. Lord Krishna lives everywhere, but still it is very easy to approach him in holy places of pilgrimage because these places are inhabited by great sages. Lord Sri Krishna says that he lives wherever his devotees are chanting the glories of his transcendental activities. There are many places of pilgrimage in India, and especially prominent are Badri Narayan, Dwarka, Rameshwara, and Jagannath Puri. These sacred places are called the four dhams. Dham refers to a place where one can immediately contact the Supreme Lord. To go to Badri Narayan, one has to pass through Hardwar on the path to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, there are other holy places of pilgrimage, such as Prayag, Allahabad, and Mathura, and the topmost of them all is Vrindavan. Unless one is very advanced in spiritual life, it is recommended that he live in such holy places and execute devotional service there. But an advanced devotee like Narada Muni, who is engaged in preaching work, can serve the Supreme Lord anywhere. Sometimes he even goes to the hellish planets. Hellish conditions do not affect Narada Muni because he is engaged in greatly responsible activities in devotional service. According to the statement of Narada Muni, Madhuvan, which is still existing in the Vrindavan area in the district of Mathura, is a most sacred place. Many saintly persons still live there and engage in the devotional service of the Lord. There are 12 forests in the area of Vrindavan, and Madhuvan is one of them. Pilgrims from all parts of India assemble together and visit all 12 of these forests. There are 5 forests on the eastern bank of the Yamuna: Bhadravan, Bilvavan, Lohavan, Bhandiravan, and Mahavan. On the western side of the bank, there are 7: Madhuvan, Talavan, Kumudavan, Bahulavan, Kamyavan, Kadiravan, and Vrindavan. In those 12 forests, there are different ghats, or bathing places. They are listed as follows: Avimukta, Adhirudha, Guhya Tirtha, Prayag Tirtha, Kankhala, Tinduka Tirtha, Surya Tirtha, Vatsaswami, Dhruva Ghat, where there are many nice trees of fruits and flowers, is famous because Dhruva Maharaj meditated and underwent severe penances and austerities there in an elevated spot. Number 10, Rishi Tirtha, Moksha Tirtha, Buddha Tirtha, Gokarna, Krishna Ganga, Vaikuntha, Asikunda, Chatuhu Samudrika Kupa, Akrura Tirtha. When Krishna and Balaram were going to Mathura in the chariot driven by Akrura, all of them took bath in this gata. 19, Yajñakya Viprasthana, Kubja Kupa, Rangasthala, Manchasthala, Malayudhasthana, and Dashashvamedha. Om Agyana Timirantasya, Gyananjana Shalakaya, Chakshurunmilitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanang pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Prabhupada in this purport talks at some length about the importance of visiting holy places of pilgrimage, which another name of such a place is a tirtha. Tirtha literally means a ford or a place in a river where it's shallow and it's easier to cross. And he makes the point early in the purport that Krishna is everywhere, but there are some places at which he is more, what does he say, easily available. Or he's giving Dhruva directions here, how this worship of the Supreme Person can very quickly fructify. And I especially like this sentence, places of pilgrimage yield a special advantage for a devotee in quickly advancing his spiritual life. And these places of pilgrimage, it's pointed out, are so special because they're inhabited by great sages. And then he says, Lord Sri Krishna says, he lives wherever his devotees are chanting the glories of his activities. He says later on that an advanced devotee like Narada Muni can go anywhere. But if you're not as advanced as Narada Muni, it's recommended that you go to these places and take advantage of the association of the great devotees there. Let me look and see if there is anything else I had here. I had some questions, but I'll save them for later. Maharaj, I'd love to hear from you here if you have some more to say.
Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshunmilitam Jina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kodam Mahyam Dadhati Shapadantikam. I find it interesting here, Prabhupada says that unless one is very advanced, one should live in a holy place. Elsewhere, he says that unless one is very advanced, one should not live in a holy place. So both perspectives are there. The beginning devotees, or even the anyone, can get great advantages by residing in a holy place. I think in the last class I mentioned glorification of Mathura given in the beginning of Brihad Bhagavatamrita, where it said that just by being born in Mathura, living in Mathura, dying in Mathura, one can attain perfection. That even liberation takes shelter of Mathura. So there's great glorification of Mathura by Srila Sanatana Goswami, who of course lived there. So on one side, one is advised to go and stay in one place, in such places. On the other side, one is advised, don't go there. Better to serve in the place given to us by the spiritual master, and be careful about going to a place where one may commit offenses or where one may be bewildered by transcendentalists or even devotees who will not give us the proper direction. So both things are there. In practice, Prabhupada had generally had his devotees visit these holy places from time to time, although there are other devotees that he requested, please stay there. Apart from Brihad Bhagavatamrita, I'm reminded that the glorification of Sridham Mayapur is also there. And it's said that simply by sleeping in Sridham Mayapur, one gets the benefit of offering obeisances many, I guess, if I recall, thousands of times. But these places are wonderful. One Prabhupada said Vrindavan is the one place in the universe where Krishna automatically reveals. And about Mayapur, one time he was talking about growing our own grain and using it to make chapatis and so on. Prabhupada said even the dust will help us, the dust of Sridham Mayapur. All right, Hare Krishna.
We have comments in the chat from Praveen Prabhu. There is the Mahakumbh this time at Prayag, once in 12 years. Vijay Krishna Prabhu writes, related to text 41, the expression real intelligence used by Srila Prabhupada in his purport reminds me of Lord Krishna chanting to Arjuna in his Bhagavad Gita that without transcendental intelligence, one cannot have a steady mind. My question is, what does Krishna mean by transcendental intelligence?
Nacha Bhavyata Shanti. Let's see, hold on. Which my book is not where it is. Let's see. There it is. What verse is that?
Nashti Buddhir,
Hmm?
Nashti Buddhir Ayuktasya,
No, give me a number, please.
Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, text 66.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Maharaj.
Yeah, Nasti Bhutir Yuktasya. Nacha Yuktasya Bhavana. Nacha Bhavyata Shantir Shantasya. Yes. So fixed intelligence, transcendental intelligence. Transcendental intelligence means Krishna consciousness. Buddhi Yuktasya. Yukta Buddhi. Buddhi or intelligence connected with Krishna. There are many great intelligent people, but if their intelligence is not connected to Krishna, then they're called Maya Pratyagyana, those whose knowledge has been stolen by illusion. So transcendental intelligence or real intelligence means intelligence connected to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Saraswati Mathji writes, Pranams Param Puja Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi 163. Yudhisthira spoke this to Vidura, who had visited sacred places of pilgrimage, stating that pure devotees are personified holy places. Saints of your caliber are themselves places of pilgrimage. Because of their purity, they are constant companions of the Lord, and therefore they can purify even the places of pilgrimage.
You were reminded, I'm just thinking about how Griva Prabhu went to India and visited some holy places and didn't seem to really get anything. But then he met Prabhupada when he came back to America, and then everything changed. Of course, one could argue that by the benefit of the holy place, he got the opportunity to meet Srila Prabhupada. The holy places will help us, no doubt. But the real benefit of going to a holy place lies in meeting a pure devotee. And the pure devotees, because they carry Krishna within their heart, are the real holy places. And their association is the most purifying. Hare Krishna.
Praveen Prabhu writes, some of these ghats of the 24 are still identified along the Yamuna in Mathura, Rishram Ghats being the center of all of these ghats, always busy with pilgrims. Panchatattva Prabhu writes, the town of Mathura was established by Sri Ramachandra's brother, Satraguna, after he killed a demon named Lavana at Madhuvana. See Srimad Bhagavatam 9, 11, 13 to 14. Bhagavatam also describes how Maharaj Ambarish observed Ekadasi and Dvadashi for 1 year and then bathed in the Yamuna at Madhuvana. See Srimad Bhagavatam 9, 4, 29 to 30 and onward.
Also, we see here, Tattata Gachcha Bhadram Te, my dear boy, Bhadram Te, all good fortune to you. Go to the Madhuba. We're reminded that Kaviraj Goswami saw Lord Nityananda Prabhu in a dream, and Lord Nityananda told him, go to Vrindavan. There you'll achieve everything. So, as the sincere well-wisher of Dhruva Maharaj, Narad is advising him, go there to Vrindavan, and particularly to this place along the Jamuna called Madhuban, and perform your austerities or your devotional service at that place where the effect will be so greatly magnified. Hare Krishna.
Praveen Prabhu writes, the 4 places mentioned are very famously known as Char Dham Yatra.
Yes, Char Dham Yatra means going to these 4 places. One on the east, one on the west, one in the south, one in the north. And these are, as Prabhupada mentions, 4 dhammas. Rameshwaram, Jagannath Puri, Dwarka, and in the north, Badrinath. And still there are organized tours. People go to these 4 places. And it's many people aspire to complete to visit each of these 4 places before their life is over.
That actually was the springboard for my question, Maharaj, that this Char Dham Yatra is, I wonder if this is a Shastric thing. I mean, Prabhupada emphasized Vrindavan, Mayapur, and when we hear that they are the 4 dhams, we think of dhams, at least those of us in ISKCON, as we think the dhams Vrindavan or Mayapur or Puri. So I wonder what makes these particular places most prominent.
Of course, they each have their own glories. Jagannath Puri is the abode of Lord Jagannath. Then Dwarka. Then, of course, Badrinath, Rameshwaram. They all have their mahima, their glorious characteristics. I don't know how they're clustered together as 4, how they attained that category. But of course, there are other places also. Ayodhya is also another dham. There's so many dhams, or places sacred to the Lord. In the chapter about Vidura's pilgrimage, it's mentioned that there were so many temples, and they're located in holy places, and Vidura was purified by visiting them. Even today, there are so many. If you go to India, if you want to visit holy places, there are so many holy places to visit. And the Shringakshetra, Kurmatirtha, so many. Ayodhya, Udupi, there's no end to them, practically speaking. There's so many holy places, and a pilgrim can be purified by visiting all of these places. or any of these places.
I also noticed the way Prabhupada phrases this one passage. He says, to go to Badri Narayan, one has to pass through Hardwar on the path to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Haridwar, because Haridwar means the gateway to Hari. So you go up to Haridwar, then you'll go further up to Rishikesh, where the devotees go all the way up to Badrinath, Kedarnath, Yamunotri, Gangotri, places in the Himalayas, or the foothills of the Himalayas. And these are, even the non-devotees consider it very pious to go to these places, and may be very eager to go.
Thank you, Maharaj. Panchatattva Prabhu, I was going to ask you if you could read our next verse, unless there are any more comments or questions on 41 or 42, which it looks like there are.
Yes. Saraswati Mataji writes, Vishram Ghat is where Yamuna Mai's Maha Arti takes place, a place especially embedded in the hearts of all Pushti Margi devotees. I have many memories of here.
Yes, in Vrindavan, still there are places particularly associated with Sri Balabhacharya. There are baituks, or sitting places, or more than sitting places, and places associated with Sri Balabhacharya. So many different places are there associated with different saintly devotees. Of course, Radha Kund, Raghunath Das Kund. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I just, if it's all right, I wanted to share one more thought here, that Narada Muni is specifically advising Dhruva Maharaj to go to this particular place, Madhuvan. And initially, Narada was inspired to go there in the first place to see Dhruva by the Supreme Lord. And so one could say, well, there are so many holy places. Why advise him to go to this place? Well, this is the one that Narada Muni thought was the most appropriate based on the inspiration he's getting from the Lord. So there you should go. Hare Krishna.
Then again, I'm reminded that Prabhupada would tell people, you go start a center here, you go start a center there. So that's another kind of purification, to go to the place for preaching the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then one very quickly becomes dear to the Lord. And Prabhupada placed emphasis there on active preaching, and advised, it's the last word of the Krishna book practically, that unless one is very advanced, one shouldn't sit down in Vrindavan and just try to do bhajan, copying Parikshit Maharaj and Shukadev Goswami. But one should preach the glories of the Lord, and that will make us quickly advance. So both sides are there.
Thank you. Panchatattva Prabhu, if you'd like, please go ahead with our next text 43.
Snadvanu savanam tasmin kalindhya salire shive gridvochitani nivasan atmana kapitasanaha. Narada Muni instructed, my dear boy, in the waters of the Yamuna River, which is known as Kalindi, you should take 3 baths daily, because the water is very auspicious, sacred, and clear. After bathing, you should perform the necessary regulative principles for Ashtanga Yoga, and then sit down on your asana, or sitting place, in a calm and quiet position. Purport. It appears from this statement that Dhruva Maharaj had already been instructed how to practice the Eightfold Yoga system, which is known as Ashtanga Yoga. This system is explained in our Bhagavad Gita as it is, in the chapter entitled Sankhya Yoga, pages 319 to 322. It is understood that in Ashtanga Yoga, one practices settling the mind and then concentrating it on the form of Lord Vishnu, as will be described in the following verses. It is clearly stated here that Ashtanga Yoga is not a bodily gymnastic exercise, but a practice to concentrate the mind on the form of Vishnu. Before sitting on his asana, which is also described in Bhagavad Gita, one has to cleanse himself very nicely in clear or sacred water thrice daily. The water of the Yamuna is naturally very clear and pure, and thus if anyone bathes there 3 times, undoubtedly he will be very greatly purified externally. Narada Muni, therefore, instructed Dhruva Maharaj to go to the bank of the Yamuna and thus become externally purified. This is part of the gradual process of practicing mystic yoga. Om Jnana Timarandasya Viranjana Salakaya Chakshumanitabhyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Gurudasa Jayadvaita Swami Iti Namine. Shive, this water, is very auspicious. It's described in this as Shiva or Shive. And Dhruva Maharaj is advised to bathe thrice daily in this pure, clear, sacred water. So one begins, he's beginning his practice in this way by his external purification. And then, as part of the process of Ashtanga Yoga, which is referred here to as not a gymnastic exercise, but a process of concentrating on Vishnu, there's internal purification which takes place. Of course, we know the Ashtanga Yoga system is an eightfold process of mystic yoga, and this is being recommended to Dhruva Maharaj at this time and under this circumstance and in this age in which he was living. But the essence of the practice is to come to Vishnu or Krishna consciousness. And we'll see in following pages that Dhruva Maharaj is extraordinarily successful in this process, even at his young age, which is certainly due to the benedictions of his spiritual master, Narada Muni. It's also mentioned how there are, quote unquote, necessary regulative principles. In any form of yoga practice, there are regulative principles which must be followed in order to achieve the desired result. You can't dismiss a whole practice of yoga as, or diminish it to being a bodily gymnastic exercise. You won't get the desired result. You can't practice a form of yoga without seeking the guidance and correction of a bona fide spiritual master. You won't get the desired result. And you can't avoid or miss the association of saintly persons or reside in an unclean and unholy place which has not been sanctified either by you or a congregation of your spiritually minded peers and expect to get the desired result. All these things are necessary. in Krishna consciousness. Here, Dhruva Maharaj goes to the bank of the Yamuna. Now, in later times, the Yamuna, at least in current times, has become maybe not externally clear, but it's still auspicious and sacred. And those who are intelligent will at least take a few drops of that sacred water on their heads and perform the recommended practice in this age on the banks of the Jamuna or anywhere else, the congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Maharaj, would you care to say more here?
Oh.
All right.
Saraswati Mataji writes, this beautiful verse in praise of our Yamuna Mai by Kavi Karnapura, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 3:28. Chid Ananda Banu Sada Nanda Suno Mama Prema Patri Shabba Brahma Gatri Aganam Savitri Jagat Sema Datri Savitri Kriyano Vapur Mitra Putri. O river Yamuna, you are the blissful spiritual water that gives love to the son of Nanda Maharaj. You are the same as the water of the spiritual world, for you can vanquish all our offenses and the sinful reactions incurred in life. You are the creator of all auspicious things for the world. O daughter of the sun god, kindly purify us by your pious activities. Praveen Prabhu writes, today the river Yamuna is the dump of many pharmaceutical industries. The river at certain places is always seen with unhealthy foam floating on it, and yet the pilgrims take bath there. I hold them in high regard.
Hare Krishna. Any other comments and questions on this verse before we move on? I was going to see whether Yovanananda Mata would like to read our next verse 44.
While we're at it, since you've jumped into glorification of Kalindi, this is Sanatana Goswami. Jayati Tarani Putri Dharma Raja Swasaya Kalayati Maturaya Sakyamatyeti Gangam Murahara Daita Tat Pada Padma Prasutam Vahaticha Makarandam Nirapurach Chadena. All glories to Sri Jamuna, the daughter of the sun god and sister of Yamaraj. She is beloved of Krishna, the killer of Mura. She has made friends with Mathura district and has exceeded the greatness of Ganga Devi. On the pretext of being a river, she carries the nectar flowing from Lord Sri Krishna's lotus feet. The commentary, Yamuna, the holiest of rivers, is the ornament of Sri Vrindavan Dham. As the daughter of Vibhishan, the sun god, she has inherited the power to illuminate the world. And as the sister of Yamaraj, the king of death, she is also the dispenser of perfect justice. Tracing an attractive winding path through Mathura district, she befriends that holy land on several sides. She is the greatest of all holy bathing sites, exceeding in sanctity the Ganga, as Lord Varaha describes in the Varaha Purana. Ganga Shata Guna Prokta Mature Mama Mandale Yamuna Vishuta Devi Natrakarya Vicharana Tasya Shataguna Prokta Yatra Keshi Nipatitaha Keshya Shataguna Prokta Yatra Vishramito Harihi. 100 times more sacred than the Ganga, O Goddess Earth, is the Jamuna in my own abode, Mathura. No one need doubt this. More sacred than Mathura by 100 times is the place on the Jamuna where the Keshi demon fell. And 100 times more sacred than that Keshi Tirtha is the spot nearby where Krishna rested after the demon was killed. Why is the river Jamuna so exceptional? Because she is especially dear to Sri Krishna. She assists in his pastimes in Gokula, in Mathura, and even in Dwarka. She originates from the lotus feet of Krishna, and so, on the pretext of carrying her current of water, she distributes the honey of intimate Krishna devotion, honey that has a rare, sweet taste. Anyone who somehow or other takes shelter of her is at once blessed with relief from material distress and nourished with spiritual satisfaction. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for reading that. Is this from the Brihad Bhagavatamrita? It is
Yes.
asked here.
Now, Brihad Bhagavatamrita Sanatana Goswami with Gopi Pranad Prabhu's commentary. Following Sanatana Goswami.
Jai. So it looks like we may have time for one more verse. Yovanananda Mata, would you like to read? Text 44.
Pranayamina Trivrata, Prananendriya Manomalam, Sanirviyudasya Bidiyayan, Manasya Guruna Gurum. Translation. After sitting in your seat, practice the 3 kinds of breathing exercises and thus gradually control the life air, the mind, and the senses. Completely free yourself from all material contamination and with great patience begin to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. In this verse, the entire yoga system is described in summary, and special stress is given to the breathing exercises for stopping the disturbing mind. The mind by nature is always oscillating, for it is very fickle, but the breathing exercise is meant to control it. This process of controlling the mind might have been very possible in those days, millions of years ago, when Dhruva Maharaj took to it. But at the present moment, the mind has to be fixed directly in the lotus feet of the Lord by the chanting process. By chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one immediately concentrates on the sound vibration and thinks of the lotus feet of the Lord. And very quickly one is elevated to the position of samadhi or trance. If one goes on chanting the holy name of the Lord, which are not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, naturally his mind becomes absorbed in the thought of the Lord. It is here recommended to Dhruva Maharaj that he meditate on the Supreme Guru or Supreme Spiritual Master. The Supreme Spiritual Master is Krishna, who is therefore known as Chaitya Guru. This refers to the Super Soul, who is sitting in everyone's heart. He helps from within as stated in Bhagavad Gita, and he sends the spiritual master who helps from without. The spiritual master is the external manifestation of the Chaitya Guru, or the spiritual master sitting in everyone's heart. The process by which we give up our thoughts of material things is called pratyahara, which entails being freed from all material thoughts and engagements. The word abhidhiyayat, which is used in this verse, indicates then unless one's mind is fixed, one cannot meditate. The conclusion, therefore, is that meditation means thinking of the Lord within, whether one comes to that stage by the Ashtanga Yoga system or by the method recommended in the Shastras, especially for this present age, to constantly chant the holy name of the Lord. The goal is to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All right, would you like to say something about this?
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that Trivrita, it's three kinds of breathing, means Rechaka, Puraka, and Kumpaka. So that's explained by Srila Prabhupada. Incoming breath, outgoing breath, and then finally balancing the breathing so that practically speaking, the breathing is held in abeyance. And Guruna Chakravarti Thakur says means the best because it has been purified. The Prabhupada emphasizes because the pranayam is meant for controlling the mind, fixing the mind, but the method of Ashtanga Yoga for fixing the mind will be difficult. So the recommended method is the chanting process. And Prabhupada tells us what that is. Chanting means to concentrate on the sound vibration and then one will think of the lotus feet of the Lord and quickly be elevated. Then, if one goes on chanting the holy name of the Lord, it's not different from the Lord. Naturally, the mind becomes absorbed in thought of the Lord. So this is the method, the chanting, done with attention and with reverence. This chanting is not different from Krishna. So let us go on chanting, and the mind will gradually become fixed in Krishna consciousness, especially if one is determined to practice this yoga system. Required great determination, which Dhruva Maharaj was able to give. The chanting is easier, but still we should chant with determination. Let us try to fix the mind on the sound of the holy name of Krishna. And from the sound vibration alone, Prabhupada will just mention this, I think, in a coming purport, that this is the method just to concentrate on the transcendental sound. We don't have to do something different. We meditate on the sound, concentrate on the sound of the holy name of Krishna. Then the forms of Krishna, the qualities of Krishna, everything will naturally come to mind. We don't have to artificially try to meditate on the form of the Lord in particular pastimes. Just have to go on chanting, and then these things will automatically appear in the purified mind. Hare Krishna.
Jai Maharaj, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions before we move on to Kirtan? All right, let's see. Ross Prabhu, would you like to lead our closing Kirtan this evening?
Yeah, sure.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Purnamhansa Paripajikacharya Ashtottara Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Raj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai Navadvip Tham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamana Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Maharaj. And thank you, Ras Prabhu, for your kirtan. Thank you, everyone, for reading and listening and just being here. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari. Madhupati, nice to see you from across the river.
Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. Sorry,
Hare Krishna.
tied up for another meeting today.
Hmm?
Tied up with another meeting today. Started at 6 o'clock. It was supposed to end at 7. It went till 7:30.
Oh my goodness. These things are going on.
Zonal supervisor.
Yeah, yes. These things are going on.
Das Maharaj ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kanteya.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Sharon. Thank you.
What's the best time you can come, Guru Maharaj? I'll probably during the weekday, I can come down to see you.
Yes, we can be in touch with me. We'll figure something out.
Okay.
Hari Om.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Jai, thank you, Panchatantra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Tulsi Priya.
I go.
Hari Om.
Hare Krishna.